Before I cover today's main topic, I do have a couple of announcements. First of all, the book. Godzilla the Monster Fight Record, the book that I'm currently working on, a book that is currently set to be a 2-volume set covering the entirety of the Godzilla series, plus any random Toho kaiju films that fit into the Godzilla universe in some way, shape, or form. Volume 1 is currently being reviewed by an editor, and the editor is nearing the end of the review, which means I'm going to be getting the manuscript back within the next couple of weeks. So that is very good. And I can start making those changes based on the editor's advice and then get this thing ready for publication. So Volume 1, it's been a long process, but we're coming along. And as I've said in a previous video, Volume 1 is going to cover Godzilla's history in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And Volume 2 is going to cover the 80s, 90s, and the new millennium and everything that happened in 2000 and beyond. And Volume 2, I don't have any kind of a timetable when that's going to be done, but Volume 1, we're finally getting into a rhythm and getting closer to publication, so that's very exciting. And my second announcement is that this will be my last video, at least until October. Reason being, I'm getting married in September. It's crazy. It's so crazy to think of myself as a husband, but it's coming along, and it's been a very exciting process. But as we get closer to the ceremony and the reception, a lot of stuff needs to get finalized, and that's going to be eating up a lot of my time. Also, I will be going on my honeymoon, so at the very least, this will be the last time you see me until October. I do have a few videos planned for October. Hope to finally get those Batman videos out in October. Also, I have an idea for an Undertaker-related series of videos for October, so be on the lookout for those. But this will be the last you see of me for at least a few weeks, for very, very good reasons. So, with all that said, let's get started. I've actually been watching Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. There's something I didn't expect to say in 2022, but and you know, in the past, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more religious WWE viewer than me. Even when I was crapping on the product, I still watched every week, just out of habit. And that was the case until about 2017, where it just got to a point where I just couldn't take it anymore. And any attempt I've made to try and get back into it, whenever somebody, oh, this great thing happened, you should get back into it, and I try to get back into it, and I'm kind of like, I'm good. It happened earlier this year. Watched WrestleMania. I popped for Cody, and I was like, all right, let me watch the next night on Raw. And then I watched the next Raw, and outside of Cody, the show was kind of boring, and it sucked. And it was like, all right, we're right back to the dregs. So I didn't keep up watching it. Then Cody got hurt, and that gave me even less reason to watch it. And you take into account I'm watching Rampage and Dynamite every week, and it's like, it's hard to get back into the cycle of actually watching WWE programming once I've broken the spell and moved on to other things. It's hard to get back into the habit. But once it was announced that Vince McMahon was retiring and Triple H would be taking over creative, I was like, okay, let me give this a shot. So I watched SummerSlam, loved it. It's the most I've enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view in years, probably close to a decade. It's probably the most I've enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view at least since WrestleMania 30. So we're talking almost a decade here, where I can honestly say I truthfully really enjoyed a WWE pay-per-view. Yeah, so SummerSlam was really good. And then I decided to keep up with watching Raw and SmackDown, and they're doing some things that I really like. One thing, without Vince screaming in people's headsets at the announce table and all of his stupid idiosyncrasies no longer in play, the announcers and the wrestlers can actually start sounding like human beings again and say words like wrestler and wrestling and hospital. It's things like that where it makes the show a little bit more palatable when they don't talk like freaking aliens. You know, trying to fit within Vince's very narrow framework of how things are supposed to go. And they're also, like, with their championship situation, they're actually doing some things that I actually really like. We'll see if it holds. I mean, Clash at the Castle is coming up soon, and this might throw everything out of whack depending on how that goes. But right now, with Roman Reigns as a double champion, you basically have the thing that I've been screaming for forever, have one world champion. And now that they've done that, it's allowed the Intercontinental and U.S. titles to be the brand, like kind of the unofficial brand championships, where you've got one world champion that goes to both, and then you have a brand champion. That would be a high-ranking champion on that specific show, Raw or SmackDown. And you've got Gunther, still don't like that name. Walter sounds so much better. But you've got Gunther as the Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown, and you've got Lashley as the U.S. Champion on Raw. I like both guys, and they're two big Haas heavyweights that throw people around. Lashley had a really good match with AJ. Gunther, I saw him have a really good match with Nakamura, and they've got, it's not groundbreaking, but it's basic and it's good. I enjoy that. And it makes those titles mean a little bit more. I think having both sets of tag titles with the Usos kind of prevents, that whole situation from being a mess, where you've got two sets of tag champions floating around, and so the title situation is a little bit more under control than it was maybe a year ago, or something along those lines. So that's very good. And also with all the returns and all the people that have come back lately, that's kind of gives things an air of it's freshening up and it's getting more exciting, because you don't know who's going to pop up or when. And that's made things a little bit more exciting to watch. So much so that AEW recently has taken to doing that by bringing Punk and Kenny Omega back. So, hey, if WWE's improvement forces AEW to get better, I think that's the whole point of having competition, is that they play off of each other and they try to get better. And that's what I like to see. I like to have more exciting wrestling products to watch, rather than watching both shows get stale and stagnate and settle into stagnation. So that's very good. So right now it's like, all right, Raw and SmackDown, I'm not loving it. It's kind of taking baby steps, but the shows have been a lot more palatable than they have been for the last few years, definitely. I haven't watched more than one Raw or more than one SmackDown in a row in a dog's age, it feels like. It's been forever. So it's very good to see that improvements are being made. However, I do want to bring up Vince Russo's recent comments, which he posted on Twitter, about how he feels it's really not that different. It's just bringing NXT guys back, and the show is still kind of unexciting. And he caught a lot of flack for it online, as Vince Russo tends to do. But I'm going to say right here, I don't fully disagree with him, and here's why. It's exciting to see all of these talents come back, and it's exciting to speculate on who may come back in the future, and there are some big names that could very well come back. The problem is you can't rely on that forever, and this is something we've talked about with AEW. It's like, all right, you got this guy from WWE. You can only do the shock debut so many times before it just becomes old hat, and I think with AEW it became old hat. It's that type of thing where it's like, okay, it's exciting for now, and it's kind of like turning some heads and getting some attention, which is very, very good. But this isn't something that they can rely on 6 months from now. And I think right now in watching Raw and SmackDown, what I'm kind of waiting for is a big storyline hook. I'm waiting for something to kind of grab me and make me go, okay, what's the big direction going to be heading into WrestleMania or heading into Royal Rumble or things like that? Are they going to establish some new big megastar as a potential challenger? Are they going to cook up some wild, crazy angle to kind of make things a hook? Like I remember when the Nexus first formed and ended Raw the way they did, and it was like the coolest and most shocking thing WWE had done in years. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. It doesn't have to be exactly that. It doesn't have to be an Austin McMahon or anything totally off the wall crazy, but there's got to be some big storyline hook to reel me in and keep me there. Because right now I'm kind of like, okay, this is fine, but 6 months, am I going to be watching this show 6 months from now? That's the question. And they've got to come up with ideas to make me want to keep watching for the next few weeks and months, and we'll see how that all goes. So for right now, yeah, I can see why people are upset with Vince Russo to a point about this specifically. We're not going to talk about his full history or anything like that, but I do think he raises a good point, and we'll have to see in the next few months or weeks if they've got any big ideas outside of just bringing a bunch of Triple H's projects from NXT back and bringing back a few big names that left under Vince and seeing what they can do in that regard. But if they can come up with a big storyline hook and keep making all these little baby step changes that they're making, I think they'll improve the WWE product drastically and probably bring back some of the lapsed fans like myself and get us to start watching every week for the next year or 2 years or 3 years. We'll see how that all goes. But for right now, they've got my attention, and that's a very good thing. So I will give Triple H credit for that. It's just matter of time to see whether or not that attention is warranted. So, but again, we will all see. So, that is all I have for you in this video. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. If you want to follow more from this channel, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I post new videos, and be on the lookout for more. Like I said, I am taking a break until October, but I'll come back with the force and make a bunch more videos for you, and I will definitely have more updates on the book the next time I see you. So, that is all I have for now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I will see you all later.